we might have a column of numbers like a month number, a zip code, or a product code with different number of digits in each row. And to unify the number of digits, we need to add one or more leading zeros. But surprisingly, Excel sweeps out the leading zeros, giving a repellent appearance to our worksheet. I am Nabil Murad. In this tutorial, I show you 12 different methods for adding leading zeros, whether you want the outcome to be left aligned as text or right aligned as number to be reused in other calculations. Or you may even want to control the number of leading zeros dynamically with a drop list or a scroll bar. Stay tuned as I go from basic to advanced, then to mind-blowing techniques. So let's get started. Here is my start file. You can download the exercise file and follow along by clicking on the link below this video. In this worksheet, I have a column of month number, a column for a zip code, and a column for a product number. And in each one of these columns, the number of digits in each row is not equal. And I would like to unify the appearance of each column by adding a leading zero. So I'm going to start with the month number. I select the entire column, and then I right-click and select Format Cell. In the Format Cell dialog box, I click on the Custom category, and under Type, I delete the word General, and I type 2 zeros. When I hit Enter, I would have fixed the issue. I can repeat for the product column, so I select the entire column, and this time I'll be using the shortcut Control-1. And in the Format Cell dialog box, I go to the Custom category. I replace the word General by typing 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I hit Enter. You might have noticed the numbers are fixed and they are right aligned, denoting that Excel recognizes them as number. Even if you wish to use them in a calculation, I click on the Home tab, and to the right side of the Home tab, I click on Auto Sum. Now if I hit Enter, I get the sum of these numbers, assuming that I want to add them. In this technique, I'll be using text formatting. So I have some numbers in column A, and I want them to have leading zeros. So I select the range in column B up front, and then I go to the Home tab. I click on the down arrow for formatting, and at the end of this list, I select text. Now if I type 024, and then I type 006, and then I type 049, then I would have fixed the issue apparently, but this is left aligned, denoting that this is text. Another basic technique for fixing the issue and to identify the entry as text is to type a single apostrophe preceding whatever you type. So I'm selecting cell B2, and I'll be typing a single apostrophe, and then I type 024. When I hit Enter, it is left aligned. Let me repeat, a single apostrophe, and then I type 006, and then I hit Enter, and then a single apostrophe, and I type 049, and so on. And I was able to unify the number of digits, and the outcome is text. In this example, I'll be using a text function. So I select cell B2, and I want to fix the numbers in column A, so I type equal text, and then I hit Tab. Where is the value you want to fix? I select cell A2, and then I hit comma, and in double quotation I type 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then double quote and close the bracket. When I hit Enter, I would have fixed the code. Note it is left aligned because the text function delivers text. In this example, I want to use a write function. So I'm selecting cell B2, and I'll be prefixing the numbers in column A with a set of zeros. So I type equal, and in double quote I type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros and double quote. I want to join these zeros to the contents of cell A2, so I type an ampersand, an and symbol, Shift 7 on your keyboard, and I click on cell A2. If I hit Control Enter, this is how it looks like. I just added 5 zeros to the left side. But I want to return only 5 characters from the right side, and that requires putting my function in the edit mode by hitting F2, and then I click right after the equal sign and I type right, and I hit Tab, I click at the end, type a comma, and specify the number of characters that I want to extract from the right side. I type 5, I close the bracket, and then I hit Control Enter, and then I can double click and send it down, and I would have fixed the column of zip codes. In this example, I have a product number in column A. And what I would like to do is to unify the number of digits for the product number. But I want to make it more dynamic. And I start by creating a concat function, equal concat, and then I hit tab. First of all, I want to prefix whatever I have in column A with a set of zeros. So I'll be typing in double quotation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I close the double quotation, and then I type comma, and I select A2. What does that mean? Well, the concat function is a replacement of the joining operator of Excel, the ampersand shift 7 that we used before. Now if I hit Control Enter, this is what I'm getting. The same content of cell A2 preceded by a certain number of zeros. But now I want to extract a certain number of characters from the right side of cell B2. So I put my function in the edit mode by hitting F2. I click after the equal sign and I type a right function. I click at the end. I type a comma. How many characters would you like to extract from the right side? Well, I have the number this time in cell D1, so I click on cell D1, and because I have the intention of copying down, I lock cell D1 by hitting the F4 key. I close the bracket, and then I hit Control Enter. Now I can populate the function by double-clicking on the lower right corner. I fixed the product number, but hold on a second. This time it's more dynamic, because in cell D1, I have a drop list. So if I select a different option from the drop list, let's say 6, now look what happens in column B. It's much more flexible, and I'm controlling the number of leading zeros. There are different ways of fixing the issue of leading zeros by using the power tools of Excel, Power Query, and Power Pivot. And to show you the first technique, I converted this list into a table, and I want to send it to Power Query. So I select it, and then I click on the Data tab of the ribbon, and I click on From Table or Range. That will trigger my Power Query window. In the Power Query window, I want to add a column from example, so I click on Add Column, and to the left side, I click on Column from Examples, and I select from Selection. It reminds me of the functionality of Flash Fill in Excel, where we create a model and we ask Excel to replicate that model. So to fix the zip code, I'm going to type the first zip code in the example column, 99500, and then I hit Enter. Well, Excel is a little bit confused right now, and it thinks I just want to copy the numbers, so I'm going to select one number with 3 digits, and I'll be typing the leading zeros, 00305, and now I hit Enter, and everything looks nice. I'm going to apply this change by hitting OK. An extra step has been added to the applied steps. I want to remove the original column and keep the new one, so I right-click on Custom, and then remove other columns. I want to rename this one, so I double click and I type by example. We want to send it back to Excel, so I click on the Home tab, close and load to, and I want to send it to the existing worksheet. I select it, and let's say I select cell C1, and then I hit OK. Now I was able to fix the column of zip codes. What if I add some more? So if I type 4259, and then I type 359, and then I type 4713, and then I hit enter. I added some more values to my source table, and look at that. When I hit the shortcut to refresh, Control Alt F5, everything updates. In this example, I'm going to use an M function in Power Query to fix the column of zip codes. I already converted it into a table and I want to send it to Power Query, so I click on the Data tab of the ribbon and I click on From Table or Range. In the Power Query window, I'm going to add an M function, so I click on Add Column and then I select Custom Column. The Custom Column dialog box opens and I want to give a name to my new column, so I'll name it Padding. The M function that I'll be using is named Text.PadStart, which means it's expecting text. Do we have text? Now the data type here says it's a number, but let's try. I'm going to type text. M functions are case sensitive, so I'll be typing text.pad, capital S, start. I open bracket. I select the field that I want to fix. In this case, it's the zip code. And then I type comma. How many characters would you like to add? Let's say 5. And then I type a comma. What's the character you want to use for padding your text? So in double quotation, I type 0, double quote, and I close the bracket. The function looks correct. No syntax error. So I hit OK. But I get an error. As I told you, the text.padStart is expecting a text value, but because I have a number, it's returning an error. Not a problem. If I go back to the change type, a step before the added column, and here I'm going to change the type of this column to text. I click on the down arrow of the data type and I select text. Power Query is going to ask me if I want to insert a new step, so I click insert, and then I want to replace the current, and now it becomes text. So what if I select the added column? Now everything looks nice and correct. I'm going to right click on the padding column and I want to remove the other column and I want to send it back to Excel. So I click on the Home tab, close and load to, and here I want to dump it in the same worksheet, existing worksheet, cell C1, and then I hit OK, and now I fix the issue. If I add more values to the source table, I can refresh my query by using the shortcut Control Alt F5. In this example, I have a column of product numbers that I want to fix by using another M function in Power Query. So I'm going to select the table, and to send it to Power Query, I click on the Data tab of the ribbon, and then I click on From Table Range. My query editor opens, and I want to create another custom column using a different M function. But what happens if you forget the name of the function? I want to assume that I don't remember the name of the function, or I remember it partially. I want to seek help with the M function inside the query editor. And to do this, I'm going to click on this FX, and I'll be typing an equal sign followed by a number sign, and I'll be typing the word shared in lowercase. And when I hit enter, it returns a list of the different functions we have in Power Query. I want to convert it to table. Here it says record tools. So to the left side, I click on the single icon I have into table. So I'm converting it into a table. Once I have this table, I can filter it to find out a function. So if I click on the down pointing arrow, I don't remember the full name, but I know that it includes the word number. So I'll be typing number, and then when I hit OK, now I can see the different functions having the word number. The one that I want to use is Number.ToText. I'm going to delete these steps. I go to the applied steps and I select custom one and right click and then delete until end. And I want to repeat. And this time I want to assume that I know the name of the function Number.ToText, but I don't know how to use it, so I'm seeking help as well. So I click on the FX and I'll be typing equal, and then I type the name Number.ToText. Note that it is case sensitive, and look what happens when I hit enter. I get all the help I need within the Power Query editor, and even I get some examples. But I'm going to delete this step because I know how to use this function. So I'm going to insert a new column. I click on Add Column, Custom Column. I want to name the new column N2Text, and I want to create my function. Remember that with the Text.PadStart, we had a problem because the Text.PadStart was expecting a text, and because we had numbers, we had to go one step back and convert it into a text for the function to work. But in this example, we don't need to convert to text. So I'm going to type equal number.toText. I open bracket. I select the product number. I type a comma. And here I write the formatting. We have lots of options in this function. You can look at the help that I showed you a few seconds ago, but here I'm going to type in double quotes 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I close the double quotation. There is an extra optional argument for the regional settings. I'm not going to provide that argument. I close the bracket, and then when I hit OK, I would have fixed the issue. I can right click and then remove other column and send it back to Excel by clicking on the Home tab, close and load to. I want to dump it in the existing worksheet, so I select existing, I select cell C1, and then I hit OK, and I was able to fix it with another M function. In this example, I have a table consisting of two columns, a column for the section code and a column for the product number. I named my table PP, short for Power Pivot, because I intend to use a DAX function in order to prefix the section to the product with a dash in between. But I also want to unify the number of digits for the product by adding some leading zeros. So I want to send my table to the data model. So I click on the Power Pivot tab and I click on Add to Data Model. Alternatively, I can use the shortcut Alt-BY. My Power Pivot window opens. I select the cell under Add Column, and I'll be creating a DAX function. I want to give it a name, so I'll be typing, let's say, fixed. And then I type a colon and an equal sign. I want to select the section field, so I have to start by typing the table name, PP. Automatically the IntelliSense list pops up, and I can use my arrows, and then I hit Tab to select PP section field. The field name appears in square bracket. I want to join it, so I use the joining operator Shift 7 on my keyboard. And then I want to add a dash preceded and followed by a space. So I type that in double quotation, double quote, space, dash, space, double quote. And then I want to join it to my DAX function. So I type a second joining operator, Shift 7 on my keyboard, and I start creating my DAX function. The function that I'll be using is the format function, and it works exactly like the text function in Excel. So I type format, and I select it from the IntelliSense list by hitting Tab. What would you like to format? The table name is PP, and then I use my arrows to select the product field. I hit Tab, and then I hit comma, the second argument for the format function, as you can read in the screen tip. How would you like to format it? So in double quotes, I type 5 zeros. I close the double quotation, I close the bracket for the format function, and then I hit enter. Here is my new calculated column. Then I want to send it back to Excel by creating a pivot table. I click on the down arrow for pivot table and I select pivot table. I want to create my pivot table in the existing worksheet, so I select existing. I have to collapse this box, and then I select the destination. Let it be cell D1, and when I hit OK and another OK, here is my pivot table placeholder and the pivot table field list. I can see the table named PP. I click on the right pointing triangle to expand it and see the different fields. And sure enough, I can see the calculated column that we created. That's the only field I need. I'm going to drag it to the rows area. Automatically, Excel creates a unique list, which is exactly what I want. It's combining the section code with the product number after unifying the number of digits. And it even helps me by sorting the result. I don't want the grand total. I go to the design tab, and under design tab, I click on grand total. I turn it off. I also want to bring the label here at the top, so I click on report layout and select show in tabular form, and I would have fixed my issue by using DAX function. In this example, we need to create a dynamic solution that adds leading zeros to the product number in column A. So let's say I want to unify the number of digits to 5, so I select cell D1 and I type 5. That's the number of digits after unifying all the numbers in column A. What does that mean? It means I need to count the number of digits I already have, subtract it from the desired number, which is 5, available in D1, and that will be the number of leading zeros that I wish to add. And in order to do that, I need to count how many digits do I already have. So if I type equal len, short for length, and then I hit tab, length of cell A2, and then I close the bracket. What do I get in this case? I get 4. I do have 4 digits. But I would like to subtract the 4 digits I already have from the desired number of digits in cell D1. So I put my function in the edit mode one more time by hitting F2. And before the length function, I click on cell D1, and because I intend to copy down, I hit F4 to lock it and then type a minus sign. When I hit enter, that will be the number of digits I need to get, so I'm going to copy my function all the way down. This is the number of leading zeros we need in each row in order to unify the number of digits. So I put my function in the edit mode, and I'm going to cut this function, Control X. Now I have it in the Office clipboard, and I start over again. I delete everything, and I start creating my function. I select the entire range, and I start typing an equal sign. What's the name of the function that keeps repeating a certain character? It's the repeat function. So I type rept and then I hit tab. It asks me, what would you like to repeat? It's a text function, so it is expecting text. So in double quotation, I type 0 and I close the double quotation. And then I type com. How many times would you like to repeat it? Then I paste the function that I cut. Control V to paste, and I close the bracket. Now let's hit Control Enter to populate this function, and this is exactly the number of zeros we need to add as leading zeros preceding the contents of column A. So what remains right now is to join it to the contents of column A. I hit F2 and I type Shift 7, the joining operator of Excel, and I click on cell A2, then I hit Control Enter, and I would have fixed the numbers. Now we want to make it a lot more dynamic. Instead of hard coding number 5 in cell D1, I want to add a scroll bar that controls the number of digits. And to do that, I need to go to the Developer tab. If you do not have the Developer tab on the ribbon, then you can right-click on any tab, select Customize the ribbon. The Excel Options dialog box opens, and here you check the box for Developer and then hit OK. I'm going to hit Cancel because I already have it. I go to the Developer tab, and then in the Controls group, I click on the down arrow for Insert, and from here I want to add a scroll bar, so I click on Scroll Bar. The mouse pointer changes to a crosshair or a small plus sign. I click and drag to create my scroll bar. The scroll bar that I created is not functional right now. I need to set some properties, so I click on Properties. And for the properties, I need to provide some information. What's the minimum value? Well, the minimum value, let's make it 4. And then I hit Tab. What's the maximum value? I can make it 9. And then I hit Tab. And for the incremental change, I keep it 1. I hit Tab. And for the page change, I want to make it 1. I hit Tab. And I want to link it to cell D1. The moment I hit OK, I would have created my scroll bar. I don't even need to see D1, so I'm going to move my scroll bar on top of it. I deselect it by clicking outside, and now I can test the beautiful functionality. If I click on the right side of the scroll bar, I'm increasing the number of digits. If I click on the left side, I'm decreasing the number of digits. In my last example, I want to unify the number of digits for the month, for the zip code, or for the product, and you have absolutely nothing to do except selecting the column where you want to unify the number of digits and hit the shortcut Ctrl-Shift-Z, and you tell Excel how many digits you want. I want, let's say, 5 digits. You type 5, and Excel will be doing all the heavy lifting for you. Hit OK, and we get the 5 digits. What about the month? I select the entire column. Hit the magical shortcut Ctrl-Shift-Z, specify the number of digits you want. I want 2 because this is the month column. When I hit OK, Excel unified the number of digits. I'm using a VBA code in this example. You don't have to create this code. All what you need to do is to scroll to the right and you will find the code. I created the code and the instructions for inserting this code into Excel. You just need to copy and paste it. In this tutorial, I showed you 12 methods for adding leading zeros, whether by using formatting or using functions or Power Query or Power Pivot or by adding a form control and finally by using VBA. If you found value in this tutorial, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel and ring the bell to be notified when new tutorials are released. The best is yet to come. Thank you for watching and see you next time.